Okay, so welcome to ETC's interview with Peter George this afternoon. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much for having me, Mary, and for the opportunity.
Wonderful. So exposing Tasmanian corruption is making sure we interview and speak to all the candidates and MPs here in Tasmania. We are speaking this afternoon to Peter George, an independent from Franklin, and he's calling this a time for change. And we're going to be asking Peter some questions, 5 questions this afternoon. The first one is, integrity in leadership requires courage. Can you provide a concrete example of when you took a stand for accountability and ethical governance, whether in public office, community leadership, or professional life? What challenges did you face, and did you handle them, and how did you handle them, especially if it meant going against political allies or popular opinion?
I've spent my life doing this. The job of a reporter is to remain outside and to remain an outsider, and to challenge authority and to speak up for those who so frequently don't have a voice. So working for Four Corners, working as a foreign correspondent, actually means that you are constantly telling the stories that authorities don't want told, whether they be local, whether they be national, whether they be international, but nevertheless need to be told. So I'll give you 2 very brief examples as I can. The Whitlam government set up the Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Corporation in the 70s, which became a deeply systemically corrupted organization. And despite the fact that a lot of people felt, and quite rightly, that Aboriginal and Indigenous organizations needed to be supported, I told a story which I think helped probably eventually destroy the organization, because it was a matter of ethics, of telling the truth, and of holding people to account. The other one was, was international. I did a story in about 1984, so we're going back a long way, to which we called the Palestinians. And it was the first time anyone in Australia had ever done a documentary length program about who are the Palestinians, what do they want, and what is their battle for. And it told their history. But it didn't do a balance of, the one hand, the Israeli story on this hand, and on the other side, the Palestinian. I felt that there had been so much done on the one hand this, on the one hand that, so much told about Israel, that I would just concentrate on the Palestinians. And it caused an enormous ruckus back home, questions in Parliament. But I will say, and this is not to my credit, this is actually to the credit of public broadcasting, actually. The ABC on all these issues always backed me up. So I had the privilege of working for an organization that always stood by me, and that made me feel safe. Nowadays, it's different. I'm 73 years old. I can stand up against popular opinion. I can stand up against politics. I mean, at my age, what does it matter? I've handled them all in one way or another.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Right, here's your next question. Will you commit to full transparency in political donations, financial interests, government contracts, and decision-making? What specific reforms will you advocate for to ensure the public can access this information in real time? How will you resist external pressures, whether from donors, lobbyists, or party leadership, to compromise on these principles?
First of all, I won't join a party. So I'm not going to compromise with party leadership. I'm not going to run a party line. I'll do what I think is best for Franklin, if I'm elected, and I will do what I believe to be best for the nation. And I'll do that based on as wide a sort of conversations as I possibly can, and on my own integrity, which if you're going to stand as an independent, the only thing you actually have got to stand on is your integrity. So when it comes to declaring financial interest, government contracts, decision making, well, you know, if you can't be transparent about those things, then you are not going to last very long in politics. Political donations is a difficult one because the parties are so cashed up that it's very hard for any independent to be able to raise money and fight a campaign against the well cashed up parties. I'm absolutely committed to absolute transparency when it comes to funding. At the moment, my campaign is following the regulations and the law, which I believe need to be changed. But if donations, I won't accept donations from big companies, and I won't accept, from and for international corporations. But at the moment, I'm stuck with people who would like to give sometimes reasonably large, sometimes small amounts of money, and are concerned about being compromised themselves. So what we've decided to do on this campaign is accept the regulations as they are today, and then fight to change them so that all donations are disclosed.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, here's your next question. What specific actions will you take to strengthen Tasmania's whistleblower protections and ensure that corruption is swiftly and independently investigated? Would you support expanding the Integrity Commission's powers to hold public hearings and compel evidence? Why or why not?
This is the Integrity Commission, of course, is state-based. If I am elected, I would be addressing federal powers. However, I think I would certainly work to strengthen whistleblower protections across the nation and in Tasmania, and I would want that done soon, and I would want a proper, independently funded, well-funded, well-staffed national as well as state-based integrity commissions, however you call them. Public hearings. First of all, compelling evidence. Yes, they should be able to compel evidence. The choice of whether to hold public meetings, public hearings or not, should be absolutely up to the commissioners themselves. There will probably be a number of occasions, many occasions maybe, where investigations need to be held and even hearings held in private from time to time. But that should be judged on what is best for the public interest. And if you're going to appoint commissioners, if those commissioners are appointed are independent, and if they have the right background, then I would be prepared to put myself in their hands on the question of public hearings.
Thank you, Peter. Question 4. Public institutions must remain free from political interference and favouritism. How will you ensure that government agencies and departments operate independently, and what measures will you put in place to protect public servants who act in the public interest, whilst also investigating and holding to account those who do not?
A national and a state integrity commission will take care of a number of those issues. How do you ensure government agencies and departments operate independently? Clearly, they do not in Tasmania, and this has been of deep concern to me. The problem this is a problem that's actually become systemic, it seems to me, actually since the era of the Whitlam government, when public servants became much more part of the political apparatus, that they, heads of department came and went. There had been problems previously where the public service seemed to could act against the interests of an elected government, as actually happened during the Whitlam era. However, we've gone so far now that public servants feel their jobs are threatened if they don't follow the party line of the government of the day. How you stop that is actually a really difficult thing to do. The best I can say, it is something I think about a lot. I would consult widely with crossbenchers were I elected. I would also consult widely with some of the institutes that actually look at the role of the public service in public life and act towards making sure whistleblowers are protected, and that transparency in decision making is made public wherever possible, including absolute transparency of when politicians speak to their departments and issue instructions that their departments have to follow.
Thank you, Peter. Right, last question. Trust in leadership is built through action. How have you demonstrated a long-term commitment to accountability, transparency, and integrity? And how will you ensure these remain your priorities under political pressure and when making difficult decisions in office?
I accept that trust in leadership is built through action, and it's built through the way that one behaves. The best I can say in those terms is, if you look at my record has been to as a journalist, has been to hold politicians to account, has been to hold bureaucrats to account, businesses to account, and individuals to account. Accountability, transparency, and integrity is what journalism, good journalism, should be all about. I've been lucky enough to do this job since I was 17 years old. It's been my lifetime. So all I can say is that it's like I've always said to young journalists, treat journalism like the person you love most in life. Never lie, and always be honest. And that's what I like to do if I'm elected.
Thank you very much, Peter George. It's been a pleasure speaking to you this afternoon.
Miriam, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I hope that we can talk again.
Thank you.